Good afternoon and welcome to the Public Square on the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation, your program that talks about topical issues, governance issues in the country. I am Phoebe Swill. Coming up in this edition, we look at the manifesto of All People's Congress, APC, and Sierra Leone People's Party, the two main political parties in the country that have officially launched their manifesto. And as usual, we have live audience here, and you can also be a part of the program by sending us your questions, comments, and opinion coming through as a text message to 076-324-174. That's 076-324-174. The number would be displayed on the screen. Stay with us till 6 o'clock. This is the Public Square on SLBC. Political parties are the main vehicle for political governance in every state. The aspirations and intentions of these parties are formulated in a document that is written and declared publicly. Whilst the APC manifesto largely targets bigger economy, private sector, agriculture and marine resources, energy generation and mining, among others, the SLPP targets education, youth empowerment, efficient economy, management, improved conditions of people with disability, and good governance, among others. Well, for an interesting debate on that now, going in-depth analysis, I have been joined in the studio by Abubakar Josisi of the Sierra Leone People's Party. Good afternoon, thanks for joining us. In the studio, I also have Ibrahim Sogi Koloma from the All People's Congress, APC. Good afternoon, thanks for joining us. And I have Kef Koba of Forward Sierra Leone, a civil society organization. Good afternoon, thanks for joining us. And we're also expecting Thomas Babadi from civil society, who would be joining us. Welcome again, gentlemen.
Thank you.
We'll do the discussion starting with the alphabetical order. I'll start with you from APC, Ibrahim Sori. Give us more details about the contents of your manifesto. It says here, we know it talks about bigger economy, private sector, agriculture and marine resources, energy generation, mining, among others. Let's look at the key pointers. Amongst all these, what are your key pointers?
And thank you very much for having me. I think that the All People's Congress has been working very hard to transform not only the lives of the people of Sierra Leone, but also the country in itself. So we realized that over the last 10 years, President Ernest Bai Koroma has implemented his programs for this country, and he's targeted mostly the energy sector, the economy, of course. He targeted youth, he targeted women, and improving investment conditions and that kind of thing. This manifesto now targets the direction that the government of the day is progressing. It is targeting what the people actually need. It is targeting the expansion of the opportunities already created under Dr. Ernest Bai Koroma. It's targeting women, children, old people, disabled people, people who in social ladder, you say that they are below the social ladder, and is targeting the expansion of the economy and making sure that those people also take part in the development agenda of the country. It's targeting people who go into school, making sure that they are guided and sufficiently trained to take part in the process, and getting everybody actually together and moving the country forward. So it's a broad range of areas, including justice, infrastructure, trade, investment,
Thank you very much, Ibrahim Sori. And Abubakar, what are your key pointers in the manifesto?
Well, first of all, let me start by saying that our manifesto is titled the New Direction Manifesto, and it is based on the political ideology of social democracy with fundamental commitment to freedom, justice, unity, development, solidarity, and all the rest of it. It seeks to ensure that the entire citizenry have a slice of the national cake by way of implementing sound socio-economic policies that will positively impact their lives. Like you said in your intro, we are looking at key areas that we believe will enhance the well-being of the people, because this is a people-centered manifesto. That is why we named it the People's Manifesto. As a matter of fact, it is the People's Manifesto because significant input was made by the people themselves in terms of what they need in the manifesto that should be implemented to improve their lives. So we'll be looking basically at education. Already we've said over and over that we'll be providing free education for everyone, every school-going kid from pre-primary up to senior secondary school. And by the way, we see that as an investment in the future of this country, because the more enlightened and educated population you have, the more you have the opportunity to improve as a nation. So, and also we look at education as the universal key that opens doors everywhere. We want to make our citizenry competitive in any part of the globe, and it is only education that does that, because nowadays the world is a global village. With your qualification, you can sit here, apply for a job elsewhere in the world. You go through the recruitment process and you can get the job if you are qualified. So that's what we want to make our citizens, and also it's good for personal development and also the development of their communities and the nation at large. So that's why we will be putting premium on education. We have other areas, of course. We'll be supporting the health sector because a lot needs to be done in that area, agriculture and youth development, support to the disabled, support to women, all of those. So for my intro, I think I will stop at that, and as the discussion goes on there, we'll be able to...
Thank you very much, Abubakar. And Kef, from the civil society point of view, have you gone through the contents of the manifesto for both APC and SLPP?
Not in holistic, but I have been opportune to look at...
to grasp the content?
Yes.
What's your general impression of the both manifestos?
My general impression is based mainly on their economic agenda within their manifestos, which I have been preview to read through. Disappointingly, for me, from the perspective as a civil society and an advocate for the people, one thing that is missing in both of their manifestos is they are both concentrating largely on the macroeconomic development of a country and leaving the micro aspect of our economy. And the microeconomy targets the indigenous Sierra Leoneans, the petty traders, the bike riders, those who are doing petty marketing. These are the people that our economy should be focused on. How do you build their strength in order for them to be able to mainstream into the macro? Because where we have failed as a country over the last 10 or more years is the fact that this has been always our trend. And we have seen within the macroeconomic sector how our over-reliance also on the mining industries have led us to so many shocks within our economic growth. And so it shows us the micro, which serves as a pillar to the macro. If the pillar has not been strengthened, then you eventually have a collapse system within the economic trend. So for me, I would have loved to see a very clear path. The SLPP tried to make an attempt to address that, but it is not in depth. And so you will need to have a political party that will tell us as a nation, how do you have to graduate those petty traders into becoming cooperatives, into becoming joint entrepreneurs? How do you provide them a loan scheme that will strengthen them so that we have a sustainable economic trend in our country? Because if that one is missing, the macro, if faced with challenges, then eventually the economy in totality will collapse.
Coincidentally, both political parties have the economy factored in their manifestos, correct?
Sure.
Okay, let's take another round, starting with you, Ibrahim Sori. How does your party intend to address the economic situation of the country? How would you boost the economy?
Now, first of all, let me start by saying that the economy has been prioritized in this manifesto, and it deals with both micro and macro. I really don't know why Mr. Kef didn't see that in the manifesto, but it's everywhere. And if you start by on the first page, on the first limb of the economic aspect of the manifesto, you will see that the manifesto targets made in Sierra Leone groups and people who are really down the social ladder, who are trying to graduate. The manifesto has provided avenues for them. The manifesto has targeted them and making sure that those categories of people that we're supporting what the local people are doing. The manifesto suggests that those areas, those people are the people that we need to improve their conditions, to make sure that the gap that exists, that all of us are saying that gap exists, that gap disappears. And making sure in some places,
how do you make it disappear?
In some places, there is even suggestion of direct cash transfer and making opportunities available to them to access loans from banking and other financial institutions. Some other people, we have the avenue suggestions as to how to train them to make sure that their productivity level increases, to make sure that they access markets for their goods, to make sure that the trades they are trained sufficiently to be able to access jobs that the market demands. So these areas are very, very well emphasized in the manifesto, and making sure that even those old people who can still provide services, are catered for. Sick people, very old people are also catered for. Now imagine where young people are exposed to opportunities of education, and those young people do not access jobs.
For a minute, Ibrahim, sorry. So looking into the manifesto of both the APC and SLPP, because of time, we're prioritizing looking at the economy, what's in their manifesto for the economy, the health sector, education, energy generation, mining, agriculture, and tourism. Hopefully we get enough time to go around discussing all these issues. Still on the economy, hold on, Ibrahim, sorry, let's come to Abubakar. What's in your manifesto? How does SLPP intend to address the economic challenge in the country?
Well, definitely, we have dealt with both the micro and the macro. Of course, Kev was talking about development of the individual. That's what he's emphasizing on regarding the micro. Well, for instance, let me just give you an example. In our manifesto, we have a Women's Development Fund for women. I'm just citing women as an example. We have Women Development Fund, and that fund is specifically there to give support to women entrepreneurs. And we put a lot of emphasis on Sierra Leonean first. That is going to be our key policy. We are going to ensure, our manifesto ensures that for everything we do, from the moment we take over governance, it will be the Sierra Leonean first in terms of economic empowerment, in terms of education, in terms of employment, in terms of anything. And that is why we are going to strengthen the local content policy. So in broader terms, we dealt a great deal with the economy of the country, because our focus actually is diversification of the economy.
How do you diversify the economy?
Fine, we support other sectors like agriculture, tourism, and fisheries and marine resources. In addition to, because it is the mineral sector that has largely accounted for a greater percentage of the GDP over the years. That is one reason why, when we did not prudently manage our resources from the iron ore boom, you understand, we had a series of problems after we had a collapse in the world market price, and also the Ebola outbreak here that the APC keeps referring to as the twin shocks. But then if we had other sectors supporting, because that's the trend now in the globe, in most parts of the world, even like the Arabs, they have oil, but they are improving their tourism sector because they believe that one day the oil will be depleted, and that is what you have to look into the future to see how you plan. So in this case, we'll be diversifying the economy. We'll not just be focusing entirely on the mining sector, because we believe agriculture can bring in a lot of revenue.
And Kev, before I bring you in on this,
and also the marine sector can
a quick one for both of you gentlemen. One of these days I was having a discussion with a colleague, and we were discussing how it seems that Sierra Leoneans are struggling to survive in Sierra Leone, where in terms of getting access to loan or capital to start their businesses. But when you look at especially the Lebanese, for example, they just come and it seems almost easy for them to succeed. They get loans, they establish businesses. Most of the big businesses you see, by large percentage, are owned by foreigners. Sierra Leoneans are there. It's not as if the innovative ideas are not there, but the startup capital, the support to start what they have in mind, is basically at a large extent lacking. How does APC intend to solve that?
That is what I was trying to explain. And now if you look at the APC manifesto, it is titled Governing for the Grassroots, Moving Forward with Dr. Samura Kamara. The targets of this manifesto are those categories of persons, and making sure that those who are on top there are not deprived of the other opportunities, but also strengthening the people who are weaker in society, economically weaker. So the APC has targeted them. We're providing training. The manifesto suggests the ways of training different categories of people, making sure that those people have access to finance. Those financial institutions.
And how do they get access to the finance? What measures
credit facilities are always there. This manifesto targets how you train people who can get credit facilities, how you do direct transfers of finance to those people, and including communities, not just people. So sometimes we also target communities, because you look at communities as some communities that are really, really deprived. So individuals are beneficiaries under this scheme. And
in what way would they get access to the capital?
The manifesto is a document that does not detail everything. But once this new manifesto, this new government comes in, where Dr. Samura Kamara wins the elections. Now, I will tell you how. Now, there are financial institutions, just as you said, that some people have access. Some people have access, some do not have access. So most times, the credit area is the problem for people who are poor. How do you get it? There are people who own property, for example, land, and they don't know how to even put that as collateral to get money. This manifesto targets those categories of people. We provide those services for them so that they can use their own property to get as collateral to get money. There are circumstances where the new government will also do direct transfer, direct cash transfer to those people, and we have people.
Direct transfer from whom to who?
Financial institutions that government will create. Financial institutions, just look like NASID, for example.
Wait a minute. So we're going to have new financial institutions created for the purpose of providing capital?
They're financial institutions generating money, and those financial institutions would be used as well to help people who are coming up, making sure that they have direct access to finance.
Okay, let me come back to you, Abubakar. The way it's going, you look at it and you compare with America, where Donald Trump is always for the Americans. Like what you were saying, that in your manifesto, Sierra Leoneans first. Donald Trump is all for Americans first. It comes for them. But in Sierra Leone, the disparities, how do you begin to look at who gets a loan? How do even foreigners tend to become a bit more successful than the local Sierra Leoneans in Sierra Leone? How do you intend to bridge the disparities?
Well, that's what I've told you. We have the Sierra Leone First policy. And one
how would that policy work?
Yes, it will work in several ways. First of all, we are going to ensure the Sierra Leone has priority. Now you are saying foreigners, because from the picture you are painting, it is like foreigners are the ones who have the priority, because they have access to loans at the banks and other things. But there are factors responsible for that, which I'm not going to for the purpose of this discussion. However, we'll try to strengthen the public-private partnership. Yeah, because by so doing, for the purpose of giving support to particularly businesses, I mean, government is not a very good businessman. What normally government does is strengthen the private sector. It's the private sector that that creates jobs by way of creating businesses and so on and so forth. So if there is that partnership, then the government will be able to play its role. That's what we'll be focusing at. We'll not have a situation where we'll be giving money directly to people, but we have that understanding with the private sector, which actually is only responsible for creating jobs and creating some of these opportunities. Then we'll try to supervise that and see how it goes on to benefit our people. However, when it comes to job creation, this is happening in most parts of the world. We ensure that our own citizens get the jobs first, especially in situations where they have to compete with other people from other parts of the world. It is the Sierra Leonean that owns Sierra Leone. So anything that happens within the country,
and how do you enforce that beyond going into the private sector? How do you enforce that?
You just create a legal framework for that. I mean, we have such laws in place. For instance, we have our labor laws. It's just that we don't implement them to the letter, or some of them, they need to be strengthened in certain areas for them to be actually effective to benefit the citizenry. And that is what is lacking, and we've taken note of that. Like our labor laws, we are going to strengthen our labor laws because it is there clearly in our labor laws. Like, for instance, the last time we had the iron ore boom, we had series of problems in the mining sector. We are in Sierra Leoneans, we are actually giving second opportunity to foreigners, and that does not go well for the country. So in this case, we insist on Sierra Leone first, because we think if the Sierra Leone is qualified and that Sierra Leone is competing with another citizen, then that Sierra Leone should be considered first for the job, for business opportunity, for anything whatsoever. That is how it obtains in other countries, and we are going to implement that here.
I see Ibrahim trying to disagree with what?
Yeah, well, basically, in terms of what he's saying, that in the mining sector, for example, that example is really not a good example, because
this is where, gentlemen, I want to use my airtime today wisely to delve deep into your manifestos, where we get you talking exclusively for APC and him talking exclusively for SLP.
Exactly.
With that said, hopefully, if we get enough time, we'll come back to making the clarifications. But Kev, let me bring you in on this. With what they've said so far, how realistic does it sound from the both parties? Or how sustainable is it, in fact, adding to the realistic aspect of it?
For me, seated here, I'm not even convinced.
And this is why I'm throwing the same question down to the audience. So prepare your answers. I'm coming with what you think about the realistic...
Seated here, I'm not even convinced about how realistic those two paths are. What do I mean by this? When you look at the manifestos that they presented here, I am yet to see a policy design that addresses wastages and leakages in our economy. Because for far too long, we have suffered also to grow economically as a result of so many wastages. And so if there's not a policy that addresses how do you control those wastages and manage those wastages you recover within the economy, then we'll still be relying highly on taxation on the poor people. And so, but then if you are able to manage, if you are able to control wastages and leakages, you manage and harness those ones well. And now you'll be able to even have tax cuts. I have not heard any of them talk about tax cuts. And this is where the poor people and for us, the middle class, are looking forward to. Because if we want to thrive in the economy, there should be a reduction of the tax burden on us and on the poor people. So if we don't have tax reduction, we are giving more strength to those bourgeois in our society, in our economy, then we are still not addressing the economy. We are still not addressing the middle income and the micro of our economic sector. This is where my concern is based. Let us have a pathway that is clear, that shows you if bank rates are giving interest at 10%, it shows the average man can now form into cooperatives, into joint entrepreneurship and access loan at the bank. But as it is, the bank interest rate stands at between 16% to 23%. And so, if you are going into a loan that has such magnitude of interest pay rate, believe you me, you can't break even. And if you don't break even in your entrepreneurship, it means you cannot even make profit. If you can't make profit, break even. Break even means I have invested 10,000 in spite of all my sales rate and my overhead costs. I was still able to maximize the 10,000 I spent plus my transportation in running all my business. You've not made profit. You've not run at a loss. You break even. But if you cannot even break even, it means you are making loss. So for us, we want to have an economy that now takes on board Sierra Leoneans. You made mention of Lebanese coming in and having access to loans. Now shift away from the Lebanese. You have now the Indians that have infiltrated our market here. The Indians come in today, they will be peddling boys. In the next 6 months, they become shop owners. How is this happening in our economy? And let me tell you the danger of this. This is the reason why our exchange rate has always remained high, because many of the monies they make here are repatriated. And once you repatriate those resources, it turns back on our local money. And so the exchange rate has always but remained high. I have not seen in any of those economic policies presented here how they address reducing also the devaluation of the leos to make it value and stronger against the dollar, because these are the things that affect the middle level income earner and the petty trader. The reason why a shoe that was sold at in 2016 at 100,000 today is sold at 350,000 is as a result of the exchange rate. In 2015, if you bought a car at $5,000 that cost about 25 million, today $5,000 will cost you 38 million leons. Why? Depreciation of the leons. So I want to see an economic policy that is also designed to ensuring you are able to give strength to the leons as against the dollar. Until you do that, you are kicking the low traders out of business.
Thank you very much, Kev. And let's hear from the audience. What do you think about what they've said so far, the two political parties, about what's in their manifesto concerning our economy? Do you think it's realistic? Is it sustainable?
I am Mohamed Lamin Fula. Basically, I will not say whether it is realistic or sustainable. It's all left with them. But like from my own point of view, like if you take a look at the SLPP manifesto under the socio-economic context, they were just explaining how 7 million people were living $1.25 a day. 3 out of 5 adults cannot read or write. At the end of it, they are just saying this depriving social development indicator will not guarantee peace, security, and sustainability in the country. Basically, they were just like hitting on the point. What are the cause of this socio-economic factor? I'm not seeing anything like how are they going about addressing this issue. And if you take a look at the APC under the economy, they were providing some amount of like, for example, they mentioned something about the establishment of the Presidential Economy Advisory Council. They also mentioned something about effective public finance management, diversifying the economy. Like, basically, let them try to convince us how they are going to deal with this economic issue. To me, I cannot even get them what they are saying up till now, because they cannot explain to the public exactly how they hope to address this economic issue. Just like what Mr. Kev mentioned about the macro and the micro. You can see some aspects of the macro in the SLPP manifesto, the APC also. But like, let them now, this is just like manifesto, like what you are planning to do in case you win. But how are they going about addressing this issue? I still want to throw this question to them. Let them make us, the audience and the public there, understand exactly what they are saying, because you cannot just highlight problems without giving solution in solving this problem. That's my point now.
Thank you very much. Does anyone else have something to add?
Yeah, Samantha Jallo. What I want to add is, I usually say if you look to the manifestos of these people, Salone would have been like a paradise, because everybody will come this good things. Because if you think, for the APC, they have been in power for the past 10 years, and yet still they are still here talking about how they are going, how you make the poor to be like improve, like the improvement should be there. Why haven't they done it whilst they were there? So they'll be here telling us, we have done it, so we'll continue to do it. This is what we've put in place so that it will continue. We should not be in that stage where they'll tell us that we are going to do it, or this is what we've put in place. They should have put it in place. And for here, SLPP, they are emphasizing on the education aspect. They have this way of education. They have been thinking about it. It was there in their mind. Why haven't they implemented it? And now they'll be here telling, this is what we put in education. This is the idea that we brought in terms of education. They shouldn't be here telling us now, this is what we are going to do. What have you done in the past 10 years? APC was in the power, yeah, we understand. But what have you as SLPP, what did
main
you
opposition?
do? Yeah, what did you do back then when they were there? You were just sitting, or when it's election time, you bring up your manifesto and say, this is what we're going to do in the future. So I don't get them. I don't really get you. Why are you telling us that we are going to bring, like, we are going to improve the economy? Why haven't you improved it?
Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Yeah, actually, to what I've seen and what I've heard, it's just like Lipsy. You understand? They are saying things that they are not planning to do. You understand? It's the fact, right? And to be sincere with you, they need to, like, for the APC manifesto, they need, like, what they have just said within the economy, giving solutions. You understand how they are going to achieve short things, right? It's saying like they are going to establish a cash transfer, which you ask how are they going to benefit something. Yeah, okay, something like that, like people getting from something. You understand? What we are trying to discuss here, for us to know how the layman, the lay businessman is going to, when he buys, sell, and make some profit. You understand? And live his or her life. Let me say, now you try to import to get things from Watakin is very expensive. You understand? You will spend more time and more hours. Even your goods will be there, perish, and the rest of it. How are you going to, like, trying to put these things in place for us to have a good system of, like, clearing doing business for the for those that are down there? Also for the SLPP, I was expecting when they are when they as opposition party keep on piling pressure on the current ruling party for them to make sure that they achieve what they're supposed to achieve. They failed us, you understand? Both of them, because I will not even take them out because we are not saying anything. You understand? Now they are here again, like bringing manifesto, trying to say this and trying to say that. Let them bring, come up with solutions and ideas how these things are going to achieve Sierra Leone to be a better Sierra Leone, that somebody can go to bed with food. You can even maybe send your child to school, and you cannot even have something that is more burden you to pay or the rest of it. Let them come up with solutions that I think will help us.
Thank you very much, and let's hear from you.
Yes, my name is Sheku Foyo, CEO and founder of the Youth and Children's Advocacy Panel. For me, the two manifestos are very much sensitive, and I'm very impressed in how the two manifestos have been written. But I'm a little bit confused in the way how they interpret this particular manifestos in terms of economy. Well, we're looking in that aspect wise the other people are targeting the women in terms of the finance, giving them loan and other stuff. I want to put this, is this a campaign strategy that they want to use to confuse the women in Sierra Leone and see how best they're giving them a loan, and then see how best when they come to power and we will be seeing these short things. And in terms of the educational aspect too, in Sierra Leone we have been seeing different aspects in terms of education there, and there have been so many putting emphasis in the education aspect. What have they been doing as an opposition party and see how best they can complete short a digging hole in terms of the educational aspect. Like Mr. Ibrahim Sori Kuroma make it very crystal clear here that this manifesto, there's been written it, but it's not simply clear. It's not everything that in there that is clear to people. Now, what we want them to do is to explain it very clear to us.
And people need to know the exact content, because that's what determines whether you're going to vote this party or that other party.
That's the main essence. They are in here, and we need they need to explain to us what is in this manifesto, and they need to make it very crystal clear to people in Sierra Leone presently.
30 seconds, please.
Yes.
And this is going for the lawyer. In the APC manifesto, page 4, you mention about diversifying the economy. No. Yes. Is it there?
Yeah,
page 4. It's talk about diversifying the economy, increase trade and wealth creation. In your when you're answering to our question, please, I want you to throw light on that area, page 4.
Thank you very much. And now, gentlemen, I'll give you time to respond. Please make your responses quick and straight to the point. Starting with you, Ibrahim Sori from APC.
The government of Sierra Leone has been working for the people of Sierra Leone. Now, in terms of what all of you have said, I think you are right that something has to be made clear. What we have tried to make clear is that the framework is there, that everybody should take advantage of what has been provided. Now, there is so much regulatory framework that also government has provided. Now, what government is trying to do is to ensure that everybody has equal opportunity. Everybody, including those who are going to school. So now this manifesto is providing, in terms of the economy, is providing you the opportunity to take advantage of what is provided for you, all of us. Now, somebody was talking about helping young people who are in business, how they get goods. Look at the key. Have you been there? You should also monitor what government is doing. The expansion that has taken place at the key. That gives you an opportunity that you have to take advantage of. Now, are you aware of the provision of the establishment of the local content policy? Innovative idea to strengthen Sierra Leonean businesses.
And just to interrupt you there, Ibrahim, sorry, yes. The expansion of the key is one, but we can have the key as big as the world. But if it's just big and the conditions to which you access it are not flexible and realistic enough or accommodating to even the grassroots, then it becomes invalid to the country. And then you're talking about the local content policy. If we have those policies and they're not implemented, they're just there, just so we have them, how beneficial is it to the country? So getting all those things in place as a party, how do we use them to benefit the local people?
Sierra Leoneans must take advantage of what is available in terms of what government provides. We should always, you see, the problem we have as Sierra Leoneans is to sit back and start criticizing. You never go to and try. You never go and try. Sierra Leoneans, we like sitting down and criticizing government because somebody else is criticizing government. We do not take advantage of what is available. Now, under the local content policy...
Sorry, Ibrahim, sorry to interrupt you there. Yes. As a Sierra Leonean yourself, give us 1 or 2 examples as to how Sierra Leoneans can take advantage of these things.
The local content policy, for example, provides that if you are qualified for anything that is Sierra Leonean, that is advertised, that is competitive with another, you're a priority. Your priority. So most people do not take advantage of that. So because they always sit down and say, I will not get it because I am Sierra Leonean. No. You take advantage. There are a lot of Sierra Leonean companies.
Aside from that, Ibrahim, sorry.
Can I explain this?
Yes, aside from that, just a moment. There are companies, well, especially from the private sector, there are institutions where when they employ Sierra Leoneans in certain offices, they pay them pittance. When they go get foreigners and pay them a huge amount of money for the very same position that is not even expatriate required.
Now, I would want an example of that. But what I know is that there is now...
You would want an example of that?
I would want an example of that, but what I know
I can give you some examples. Let's use Musa Tarawali for example.
Can I explain this?
You need examples. Let's use Musa Tarawali for example, who had Tees. Tees had positions from general managers that were foreigners, who were well paid. And those are jobs that Sierra Leoneans can occupy. It's not an expatriate job. I've been there, I took a tour there. Those are jobs that some Sierra Leoneans could have occupied, but they're not well paid. Let's make another example. It's rather unfortunate that I'm saying this on the SLBC. Let's look at AYV, for example. The job Angela is occupying as general manager and how much she's paid. Is that an expatriate job that Sierra Leoneans cannot do? And how well paid they are. When it comes to Sierra Leoneans getting those jobs, how paid are they?
Mobile companies, you will see vivid examples.
So you were asking for examples.
What we have is that Sierra Leoneans should take, what I'm saying is Sierra Leoneans should take advantage of what is available. Take advantage of what is available. If a job is advertised and you're competent, you're qualified for it, you have to compete for it. You don't criticize them for
have you been following up with the Labour Ministry as to the cases that have been going there, that much follow-up has not been made?
Can I explain this? Now, if you don't take advantage of the opportunities there and wait for an opportunity to criticize the employer, that will be unfair. And that is what most Sierra Leoneans are doing. They sit back, do not take advantage of what is available, but they sit back and criticize. What you are saying, I'm sure, I mean, I was not there when he was, or they were recruited, but I'm sure if they were qualified, the Sierra Leoneans that applied for those jobs, when the jobs were advertised, if the Sierra Leoneans were qualified and they applied for those jobs, and I'm sure they were going to have it.
Abraham, sorry, also a recommendation to you after the program, follow up with the Ministry of Labour and see how many cases that were reported of such things about people who are even paid as low as 250,000 in salaries.
Not correct.
That is below minimum wage, that the Ministry of Labour has not been able to do much to help them in their situations. With that said, just a moment, we need to give equal time here. Let's go to the SLPP man and your response to some of the comments and questions
definitely.
that have been coming.
I really just hope you
Viewers, in the meantime, you can be a part of the program by sending us your text messages. The number is displayed on the screen. Let's also hear from you.
And the general view here is that we've not elaborated on the issues, but I don't think you are giving us time, and you are also pegging us to
quickly respond to the questions.
To the questions you are posing. You understand?
We started off by giving you time to give us the context. You decided to tell us what you want to tell us.
Just give us
so now we're delving into what you told us.
Now I will start with my brother here, Kev. Kev said we've not explained how he brought up the issue of leakages. For us in the SLP,
and taxation as well.
We've made it, and taxation as well. We've made it very clear. You understand that one way we are going to generate funding to fund particularly our flagship project of education and maybe some other sectors is by sealing off those leakages. Yeah, because we know for free that the government loses a lot, billions, tens of billions of loans every year. You understand? So what we will do is, for instance, one way the government loses a lot of money is by tax exemptions, tax holidays, whatever you call it. The tax system, our tax system is very, very bad. It's not that effective, and it is so porous that a lot of money is going down the drain, where all of us don't know. And if you can just seal off that and rake in at least 50% of that, you'll be able to finance most of these things we are talking about. So we've always emphasized on that as a critical party, that we will try to seal off those leakages in order to rake in a lot of money to fund particularly our flagship project of free education. We've always made, and as for the tax system, we are not going to impose new taxes on people. We are going to look at the what obtains at the moment and try to improve on it. Yeah, so that explains that for you. And the young lady there was talking about education. We have a very good track record when it comes to education, the SLPP, I mean. You are in this country, free primary education, we introduced it. That is what this government inherited. We are paying, probably you too benefited from it. We started paying MPSC, Beke and WAS fees for pupils, yes. We are paying for 80% of the university students, including myself, I benefited. Granting aid, when we said granting aid at the time, it covered tuition, it covered lodging, you had allowance, and we are paying for over 80%, and we decentralized it. Every part of the country was benefiting. The SLPP did that. We built schools, over 500 schools in this country, but there is not a chiefdom in this country you can go that does not have a junior and senior secondary school.
Some in villages with less than 20 people.
Whatever, but it is there, the structure is there, you understand? So we separated the public university today. Before we came, it was just one public university. We separated it to, now you have Jala University, which is a public university, and then you have Fuabekwe, which is a public university. We enacted the 2004 Education Act that created that created a way for the establishment of the public institutions, tertiary institutions and universities you are seeing today. We did all of those. We established the training of untrained and unqualified teachers through the distance learning education program. It is there. I can go through that over and over. We have a lot we did in the education sector. So what we are trying to do now is not new. Yeah, we've always put premium on education because we believe that is the way to go. That because without quality human resource in any country, that country will never move forward. That is what we believe as the SLPP. Now you are talking about the economy. You Kev mentioned micro. He was insisting on micro. That is development of the individual. I just cited an example. Yeah, that for instance, for women, we have the same program for youth as well. Youth will be giving skills training to youth. That is just one. We'll be developing them through skills training, through education, free education for them. At the same time, there's going to be a youth development fund that will also provide financial support for them to establish their own businesses. And one thing we are failing to realize, somebody made mention of that, I don't know who, that the foreigners will make a lot of money and expatriate and repatriate their profits. That is true. That is why we are saying we will have the policy of Sierra Leone first. Because with the policy of Sierra Leone first, we were able to ensure that you as a Sierra Leone, you have access to funds to establish your own business. We will start with the women, the youth, and every other Sierra Leone citizen. Because if you have your business here as a Sierra Leone, the profit will be made here, you invest it into other areas and help to improve other Sierra Leoneans by way of creating jobs and other things for them. So that is what we believe in. And that is why we will also be, I just said it here just that we'll be diversifying the economy. Without a strong economy, for instance, somebody said the exchange rate. The only way you can address the exchange rate is by having enough foreign exchange within your system. Without that, you'll not be able to address the exchange. It will keep going up. Once you have enough foreign exchange within your system, it will be forced down and down and down. That's why when we were there, it remained at 2,900 up to the time we left. Yeah. So we've addressed all of those, and we have plans to address that because we know the more businesses we have, the more profit those businesses make within the country. And the more we are able to produce as a nation and export and get foreign exchange earning, the more we are able to deal with the economy squarely.
But Joe, how do you make sure you have enough foreign exchange within the economy when you have the larger part of the economy being controlled by foreigners? And they repatriate these monies that they make.
Fine.
How are you going to control this?
Fine.
You have not said anything about it in your manifesto.
No, it is not in the manifesto.
No.
It is there. The solution is there. I've just explained.
I mean, many of these things.
As a Sharia, that's why my brother here was telling you. You don't take advantage of the opportunities that are there.
No, that's not.
Come forward as a Sierra establish your own business. If finances are available from the public sector or even the private sector, take advantage of it.
I disagree with that. Many businesses have ventured into seeking out for loans from the commercial banks.
Hold on.
Your point here is you are castigating Sierra Leoneans as not taking advantage of the That's what the two of you have done.
In your words, that's what you said. Sierra Leoneans are not
taking advantage.
But they're going for it.
They will not go to you are denying what you
are. Businesses that are being supported by a bank.
Let me say this again.
We have a number of Sierra businesses,
but the foreigners are receiving more.
Let me say this.
That is why our business is to create a level playing field for, and that is why we have the Sierra Force policy. This time around, when you are competing with the foreigner, we will ensure that you have priority. That's what we are saying. That is what has been lacking in the past. You understand? But the opportunities are there for everyone. It is just that the foreigners seem to have some advantage. But most Sierra Leoneans don't go into business. Most Sierra Leoneans are not entrepreneurs. That is the fact of the matter.
According to your manifesto, you say we provide training.
Let me say this.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So now, what we are expecting, you call on Sierra Leone to go in for loans.
That's what we are saying.
Let me say this. There are a lot of innovative ideas that have been brought forward in the last 10 years. And
by Sierra Leoneans.
Yes. I said that the government has provided the framework, the guide for us to take advantage of. Now, one of which
we are not taking advantage.
One of which is the local content policy. That is an innovative idea that Sierra Leoneans should be proud of. That's an innovative idea that Sierra Leoneans should take advantage of. Now, what I said was that if anything is competitive and you are qualified, you know how many jobs I have applied competitively with international people that I've been recruited for. So many of them. So many consultancy jobs.
And you're just one of the few Sierra Leoneans.
Very few, because first of all, what you have to do is to train yourself.
Mohamed Gentoo has also went for loans. to continue his work.
Let me finish
Law was
this,
not
sir.
given to him.
Hello,
These
sir.
are examples.
Let me finish this one. Now, what you have to do as a Sierra Leonean, first of all, you have to make sure you capacitate yourself, which is very, very key. Because for you to compete with international people who are sufficiently trained, you have to be trained. You have to be qualified. For example, I can bring $2 billion to invest in Sierra Leone, and I want a manager who can manage that $2 billion, and you're coming with a degree in community development, which I do not need for that purpose. Just because you're a Sierra Leonean, I should employ you. No, I'm not. But if you have a business management degree, for example, top class, I would definitely give it to you. And that is what investors would do. That is what I would advise my clients to do. Sierra Leoneans should take advantage of the
Ibrahim,
opportunity.
sorry, just a moment. Let's also look at it from another angle.
Yes.
Forgetting about employment, those who want to create employment opportunities for others.
Yes.
There are Sierra Leoneans with the innovative ideas, but they don't have the capital. They don't even own properties they could use to say, okay, I'll rent this or sell this or use this as a collateral.
Yeah.
Is there anything in both of your manifestos
you know what the
that
manifesto
would
has done?
cater anything for those who have good ideas that have the potential to boost the economy in the country, but do not have the collateral and do not have access to the capital?
You know what this manifesto has done? Is to provide that opportunity for, including for
How does it
people-
provide the
for people.
opportunity?
There is a lot of promotion of public-private partnership. Now, if you have your company as a Sierra Leonean, you don't have capital, and you have ideas, we match you up. I mean, this manifesto is saying you match up. Are you aware of
Match
SLIPA?
who up? Match who and who?
The company which is competent enough to handle the business, the type of business that a foreign company which has money and wanting to come to Sierra Leone has. So you match up. You do partnership. We match up Sierra Leonean companies with. Are you aware of the SLIPA? The Sierra Leone Investment and Export Promotion. That is what some of what they do is to make sure that a foreign company coming to invest here is assessed as to capacity and what they need, and to help them to settle down. And if they see someone, a Sierra Leonean company which is competent enough to work with a company like that, they match them up. That is what Sierra Leoneans should take advantage of. It is not for us to come back and say government is not providing that
just a
opportunity.
moment, I'll be interrupting you and allowing Joe to also answer that from SLPP point of view. But with what you're saying now, so it means the Sierra Leonean would have to survive only with the opportunity given to that Sierra Leonean from foreign companies.
You have to start from somewhere. Now, this is an example.
Is there anything in your manifesto that creates an opportunity for an ordinary Sierra Leonean who's got a brilliant idea that would boost our economy, that does not necessarily need to partner with a foreign company, probably getting access to loan, looking at the collateral, the requirements for loan? Is there anything in your manifesto that talks about that aspect?
Now, let me say this.
Can I quickly have a yes or no, and then we come in?
Yes, there's sufficient.
Yes, okay,
sufficient.
good. Let's keep that in mind. We're coming back to that. And Joe, let's hear from you from the SLPP point of view.
Yeah, what before now there were cooperative banks, and we hope to re-establish them and get them functional at the highest level so that they can provide necessary services to people wanting to go into business. That is one way we'll be lending money. You understand? Because you see, I don't think with the cooperative banks, of course, we have policies that will not make it difficult for you to access money to establish your own business, as the banks do. We know for sure the interest rate. One thing that is proving difficult for Sierra Leoneans wanting to go into business is the interest rate. It is very, very high, and that is what the cooperative banks will be established, will be taking care of. First of all, the collaterals will not be too heavy for you. Also the interest rate will be somehow reasonable, minimal, to an extent that you'll be able to run your business, make profit, because some businesses are starting, but because they have to be paying this huge interest to the banks, they collapse along the way. You understand? So that is one way we are going to establish, we are going to address that particular issue. Mr. Koma here made a valid point, and we also have that in our manifesto. In as much as we'll be emphasizing on Sierra Leone first, but we'll ensure that you also have the equity training, you have the equity qualification, because you are competing. Mind you, we also want a liberal economy that will encourage other people to be in the system to compete for whatever you like. That is the norm in the modern world today. Yeah. So in order for you to compete, we will ensure that you have the necessary training, you have the necessary qualification, so that as a Sierra Leonean, when you are competing with a foreigner, for example, you'll be considered. because you are the priority. So that is our point. And when it comes to business, I am not an economist. If we are going to dwell on the economy, I would have asked, and we have so many experts, we have so many economists in our party, I would have asked one of them to come. I'm just here to give a broader perspective of what obtains in our manifesto. However, these are basic ideas I think we should share here. Yeah? Addressing the Sierra Leone problem will not happen in a day. All of us have to understand that, and we have to do some research to know where actually we've gone wrong in the past. When you go to Guinea, their citizens are very much involved in business. You go to Nigeria and other places, it is not the same for us here in Sierra Leone. Sierra Leoneans don't like going into it. This is a fact.
The big question is, why is it happening as it is happening?
Well, fine.
Several answers could come up. Gentlemen, hold on. This is the Public Square on SLBC. Keep your text messages coming through. I already have some messages here, but we're taking a quick break. Stay with us and we'll be right back. Welcome back. This is Public Square on the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation. Let me quickly go through the text messages I've received. The first person here says, Josie said the SLPP will only penetrate free education for Sierra Leoneans when you collapse this military, the health sector and police. That's from Mystic at Dwarzak. Me neither. And another texter says, Josie say the government of the day will not be able to provide jobs for every Sierra Leonean. That's the reason for the introduction of local content policy. From Mystic again. Someone else says, Phoebian, please ask the APC representative, why is he only saying these things now when they have been in power for the past 10 years? They won't fool us again. Someone else says, I am not against Lebanese and Indians, but let the next government empower Sierra Leoneans. Another texter says, SLPP is the only party that can improve education in this country. That's from Aruna Fatoma. Someone else says the APC manifesto of the APC on the economy uses economic tool of authoritarian social welfare function. And that's from Sam Cole. And someone else says, I was working for London Mining as supervisor. My salary was $500 and a white guy in the same position was paid $800. Local content my foot. That's from Sahid. Those are the messages. And Ibrahim Sori and Josie say, the platform is yours today.
Before you go to them, please, I had something else to add to their contributions they made before we went for the break.
Okay, let's very quickly.
I'm looking at their arguments and their presentations which they have done. They've done quite an enormous analysis of the economic trend. My concern still remains the how methodology. How do you wish to come from that quagmire in which we found ourselves as a state? And again, I notice both parties are shying away from calling things by their name. In which sense? When Donald Trump was campaigning the presidency, he was very clear as to what would be interest rates. Donald Trump said 5%. If I become president, any bank that is not willing to make it 5% will shut you down. And that is what he's pursuing today in his presidency. Both parties have failed to come out. Will make interest rates at commercial banks this percent to strengthen the local industries. No way. They sit here, they castigate Sierra Leoneans as not being coming out forthright to reach out to grab the goodies. But I give you so many instances of Sierra Leonean businesses that have collapsed as a result of not having the support of the commercial banks. They have established businesses on their own. Some were joint entrepreneurship, but they keep going for loans they don't have. And those loans are being given to foreign businesses. Again, Joe, you will not agree. Yes, but you want to come to power. Until you convince us as Sierra Leoneans, you won't have our votes. Because for me, I'm interested in knowing where the economy will take us. If you don't strengthen the middle level income earners of this country, we will not be able to address the economy. Now, you are all focused on mining industries, the fisheries, and the like. But these are the things that streamline the economy. If we are not paid well, Sierra Leoneans work for foreign enterprises in this country. They are not well paid. And yet, we have many of us that are found within the middle level.
Sorry, quickly, Kev. There has been an example where from Saeed who says, I was working for London Mining as a supervisor. My salary was $500.
Exactly.
And a white guy in the same position was paid $800.
Yes.
Local content, my foot.
Yes. So how do you expect more people to graduate into the middle level income when they are not well paid? We have many, and you guys said people are not strengthening themselves, building on their capacities. Now let me go back since 2006 when students will opt for master's program. It was ranging between 4 million to 8 million. Check master's program today, 28 million. 21 to 28 million leos. How much are Sierra Leoneans paid? Graduate, I'm speaking about graduate, people who are graduated and are working. How much are they paid for them to be able to take care of their family needs and save towards having master's qualification to be able to compete for those jobs? They are not well paid. So you find out that you have many who have graduated between 5 to 10 years, they still could not go for master's programs because they are not well paid to be able to reserve money to be educated further. Again, you have many first-class students that come out of the university, some with very good second-class degree, yet they don't have government scholarships. Scholarships are given to people by political means. Even with the SNPP, that was the same situation. Today, the APC has even done it overboard. So tell me, how do you hope to have Sierra Leoneans have themselves empowered academically to compete for those businesses? Give them scholarships. If people cannot by themselves afford to pay for those master's programs, give them scholarships or loan. If you go and you have your master's program, you come back to this country and give back to the country. That way we're able to build the middle level income. And then we compete for the wider market.
Let's hear from the political parties. Yes, unfortunately, Joe, we have to hear from, I said it initially, we're going alphabetical order.
Well, again, thank you very much. I think the discussion is now being focused, and I like that. We as Sierra Leoneans, we should take advantage. I always say that. Now, the government has provided the legal framework by which everything is regulated, including education and the economy. Now, we should also check what we can take advantage of. Now, somebody was saying because he's being paid 500 and somebody else is paid. I don't have evidence of that, but I think that recruitment everywhere, you recruit you as per your qualification, and that your earning is also most times pegged on that qualification. So he has not said whether he was equally qualified or not. He only said they occupy in the same position. So that is.
So if you're not qualified, how do you get the same position?
I'm saying
because positions, especially in such institutions, they tell you we're looking for someone with masters. So automatically you get the job because you had a master's.
We also know that in this country, some people, Sierra Leoneans have been employed at particular positions because they want a Sierra Leonean who is closest qualified, even though he's not qualified. I'm also know because I'm retainer, for example, for several companies, and I know how many people who have been.
But it's based on the experience you bring to that job.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Is as a general principle, you don't normally employ people who are qualified for jobs. But when, because of the local content policy, for example, you will say because he's closest qualified, would employ him even though he's not equally. So those things happen. He has not provided those details. But what I'm saying is, now in terms of the economy, the projections in the manifesto is that 18% by the time 5 years, this projection says that the economy will grow by 18%, and that every year at the minimum, it will grow by 1.2% every year. So we as Sierra Leoneans should also look at what is available. Now, Sierra Leoneans, we like talking about big things. Everybody wants to be an engineer, a real estate agent right now because they think that real estate has money, that I can make money, I have ideas. Ideas alone are not sufficient to be in the business world. No, ideas alone, no. You have to start somewhere. For example, if you want to get into the real estate business, you start from somewhere. You don't say, give me a loan of $5 million so that I can buy 5 properties and rent them out. No, you start by what? Acquiring leases. You rent apartments, you rent rooms and rent them. Get the experience, let them out. And so when you see somebody who is interested in what you're doing, he can pump in some money. He can pump $1 million and or 1 million euros. And then that's how you start. But you don't start overnight because you have brilliant ideas, no money, no training whatsoever. You ask government.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim. Let's send
yes, I want to start by taking exception to the assertion by KEF that even in the SLP days, scholarships were given by discrimination. That is not true. We had a quota system. We decentralized the award of scholarship. Every district had its own quota. You could move here, go to your district and apply for your district, depending on your quota, and you come from there directly and benefit from the scholarship. That was not obtained in SLP days. That was why most of us were able to go to a university education.
That was for SLG. I'm talking about master's program.
Even master's students had SLG.
No, master's was not quota system. It wasn't. Masters.
Let me leave that. You keep on harping on this how to tackle that. You understand? I've just told you I'm using my layman's idea on tackling this because I'm not an economist. However, I want to tell you that the more money you are able to generate within your system, the more stronger your economy becomes. And that is why we are emphasizing on diversifying the economy. Because when you diversify the economy, for example, we'll be looking at the fisheries and marine sector, the tourism sector, and agriculture. In addition to mining, you have a lot of foreign exchange that will strengthen the economy. The government will have a lot of money to tackle most of the social problems you are complaining about. The government will have a lot of resources to address the poor condition of service. That is all where it boils down to. A strong economy, and the only way you can have a strong economy is your ability to generate enough financial resources. That is about it. That is why we are insisting. So the how is we'll be diversifying the economy so that other sectors can also bring in a lot of revenue in addition to what we have in the mining sector, because the mining sector is what accounts for a huge chunk of our GDP. So with other sectors coming in, generating resources, we'll be having enough of money to solve all of these social problems you are talking about. So that is about addressing the economy of the country. And I've just told you the issue of the exchange rate. The more foreign exchange earning you have, the exchange rate definitely drops, and the local currency strengthens again. That is just about it. And one thing we'll be looking at with regards this wage disparity, yeah, when there's no country in the world that does not import expatriates, because you may not have all the skills required. But in those cases, what we are planning to do, when you come as an expatriate, we've made it a policy. It is here in our manifesto. We've made it a policy. You, the expatriate coming in, as part of the agreement, you will be required to transfer knowledge or skill to your Sierra Leonean counterparts. So that by the time you leave, if you have a 4 or 5 year contract, by the time you leave, that Sierra Leonean would have been knowledgeable enough to handle that area, for which we no longer need an expatriate. As time goes by, more Sierra Leoneans will acquire that knowledge. So that is how we intend to handle that. And the issue of wage disparity, of course, it's because we fail to implement our laws. Because when you look at our labor laws, it is there in black and white. You understand? It gives Sierra Leoneans priority, and we also recently enacted a local content policy. It's also there. But we've not implemented, but that is what we are going to do. We will ensure they are implemented to the letter, because we are emphasizing on Sierra Leonean first. And when we say Sierra Leonean first, we mean it. If you are competing with a foreigner, we will ensure you are giving priority. So that is our position on this issue.
But again, my concern here is, just to borrow from one of the members of the audience, that politicians of these two political parties seem to be giving lip service to their manifestos every year, every electoral year. And when you look at all of these things, even the APC promoted what you are talking of, diversification of the economy, but then where did that lead us to? We have so much leakages. I'm happy you did analysis of the number of leakages we have. I read through your economic research you did. And these are things that I have been taking up this government for over the last years. The leakages we have, even in terms of duty waivers that they give to multinational companies. Multinational companies come here, they make more money, they repatriate all their profits, yet they don't pay GST. You and I pay GST for every product we consume that is brought into this country. I mean, these are the imbalances we have within the economy that we also need to address very firmly and very strongly. But then, how sincere are these two political parties to the people of this country in making... No, honestly.
You are talking about how. Now you've gone to sincerity.
Okay, so this is where I put a pause on all of you. Let me quickly read through some more messages I've received. This person here says, well done, Kev, you have spoken for Sierra Leoneans. Someone else says, the two manifestos are cosmetic. Another person says, the APC lacks the political and administrative knowledge to fix the economy at present. Someone else says, when will they create a commission for entrepreneurship? Another texter says, Ibrahim, the local content is not working. I will challenge you. And someone else says, in manifesto, you don't go to specifics. You only give hints. Yeah, those are the messages you were saying.
Yes. So like I said, how sincere are these two political parties to the people of this country that this is really where we want to drive you to? And the only mark of that sincerity we prove to a tangible how mechanism. Because where you don't have a tangible how mechanism, it shows a cosmetic kind of agenda. Because an agenda that only prescribes policies without giving a mechanics as to how to carry that out is not committed. And you are bound to fail along the way. So in order for us also to be able to hold these parties to account, if they shall have won the elections tomorrow, is when you are making reference to manifestos, we should have indicators that will take to assess you. This was what you pronounced, and you gave this how mechanism to take us there.
Like the example you cited of Donald Trump.
Yes, Donald Trump said 5%, and today that is what Donald Trump is using. Even though Donald Trump will have his critics to cry him down, he will say, this was what I promised my voters.
You're a civil society activist.
I'm coming.
You too.
I'm coming, bro.
Okay.
Once you guys entered here, I told you, I only had a soft copy of the economic policies. Now, before you leave in, you are going to leave me with these two documents. So I will also pay justice to you when I'm debating on your documents. And you can't walk out today.
With that said, let's go now to the audience again. Let's hear from the audience.
Good. Is it afternoon? Good afternoon.
We'll just use good day, it works.
I've seen both manifestos, and I'm not going to go bother myself into several things, but I want to say a few things. Access to world-class medical facility. I want to put it to you that in other countries that are serious about the living of the people, their people, they will not allow their people to go to neighboring country, international country or other international country to do simple scanning, to do simple tests You understand? What we were expecting in manifesto, because there are times in this country when we've had ministers sitting down on public broadcasting entities or even private entities and saying, when my wife is sick or when my child is sick, when I'm sick, I go to America. If you minister, if you president can go to Connaught, you know that you have a risk of dying there. You will maintain Connaught for the people. So we want to see what, I was hoping I will see something that I will make sure that no Sierra Leonean will go overseas or Ghana to ensure that they get quality access to medication. I did not see that. The other thing is unexplained wealth. The whole reason why we are suffering
fighting corruption,
unexplained wealth. I have seen people. I've seen people who were just driving taxis in the UK. I've seen people who are dispatchers. They go and dispatch letters. I've seen people who were just DJs in America.
These are deliveries.
They are here, and we hail them just because they follow you during your campaigns, and because you think they were by you during your campaign, you give them position. So what you do? You allow them, when they get into a position, probably the man that is selling something on the street there is better than them, and you see them. In space of 6 months, they build mighty house that cost millions of dollars, and nothing is done about this. Unexplained wealth has destroyed us. So I have not seen something on unexplained wealth.
Is that the wastages I was talking about?
Now, I'm going to bring something to us again.
You have not read the manifesto.
No, wait, I'm coming. Listen.
When you are done.
Okay, when he's done, you.
What I'm saying is, I want to see, and we want to see when you've said this. How do you monitor it? How do you implement it?
And how do you make it sustainable?
Yeah. Now, the other thing is that the daily bread, my dear brothers and sisters, it is seen. You might take it to be joke. Today you are sitting here. No wonder why political people are involved themselves in politics, either their children or children to come have problem, because the people are suffering now. They will be tomorrow outside, next tomorrow outside, running behind you guys. And then you know what? You come and promise all these things, and even their daily bread is not available. How are you going to ensure that our daily bread, you understand, it's not for me? I can eat any food, but what about my mother that is selling there, my grandmother? And now I did not see timeline, you understand, on your activities. That is where I was having problem with the APC manifesto, the past manifesto. They will tell you that, when you say you've not achieved it, you say, no, I don't need to achieve that. There will be more time, we'll get for extender. I want to see time. Because if you tell me that your agenda for change is this time, you tell the activity, by this time, Donald Trump did that, by this time, I will do this. Other presidents have done it. By this
calendar.
time. Yeah. And then the other thing, nothing in the manifesto about the audit report. We've seen repeatedly ministries and department and agency, they flood procurement procedure. They've done things that are not worthy. And then you know what? In the next budget hearing, you see they allocate big budget to them. What are you doing? Are you trying to kill us so that you will enrich yourself, so that our people, our children tomorrow will suffer? This is serious. Now let's come to education, where it is my interest. Education, the free bus service, my dear friend, is too big. It's bigger than the free education, right? Because the free bus service compasses more finance than the free education. Bus service is an everyday routine. It's an everyday routine. You have to buy fuel, you have to maintenance. It's more than the school fees. So because I've seen when Logos brought 100 bus, he allocated 12 for students, and in less than 3 months, it was mess. I'm going to say this. So you don't just come and say X, Y, Z. That is why some of us are going to schools, are going to colleges, to show the education aspect, because this document is too big. Our children will not understand it. We are going to sacrifice ourselves and educate the people about it. Now, no forms for university. That's a great one. No, you don't pay for form. That's a great one. You understand? It is very great, and if you ensure that you stand by it, kudos, the university student will vote for you guys. I really like that. The other thing is internet in school. Alpha can't have been one man that when he speaks, when he's on television, I don't listen in, because he said things he do not do. He will come to you, say by the time the buses are around, you see internet cafe on the buses. Every child will have a laptop. Thank God you are coming here because we know you. If it was Alpha Car, I will not come here. How are we going to actualize this thing? SLPP, free education. What is it inside this free education? Because I've seen the analysis you've made. You say you will give us free education. But guy, come down and tell us, because it's not easy. Although the bus service is heavier than free education, but this is not easy. No SS4, I give you
Sano,
kudos.
we know you have
And the
a lot
last
of question
one,
for
two
the
shift
things you're
system,
talking
I
about.
give you kudos. But APC, I tell you, the manifesto I saw for the Agenda for Change and Agenda for Prosperity is a very good document. If only it was followed by letter, it is very, very good. I can tell you that. And you have some good things. Both parties have some good things inside those manifestos that we can leverage on, and we make sure that the people of Sierra Leone benefit.
Thank you very much, Sano. And in moving forward, for today's program, we've laid more emphasis on the economy and things like mining and agriculture that technically have a connection to the economy. In subsequent editions, we'll delve into other aspects, because there are several things in the manifesto we can't discuss in one day. If we really need to get the details of the manifesto, it's not going to be in one day. So we're taking it in stages. So today it's been exclusively the economy and things that are technically related to the economy. So in your submissions, yes, let's focus on the economy for this edition.
That's why I reserve my education.
I just want to make a recommendation. Abubakar mentioned about expats coming to the country. If they employ them for probably 4 years, they should transfer that expertise in them to Sierra Leoneans. Why not creating a platform wherein you provide the opportunity in sending Sierra Leoneans to abroad to learn what those experts are coming to do here? Let there be scholarship opportunity rather than just bringing them working for 4 years. We all know, yes, the experience, but it will be much more important if they go out there, if they are not doing short course in this country, to provide for them those facilities.
That's in
I'm
case
coming.
Please.
Providing for them those facilities. And then my brother Kev is made mention about these leakages, and Abubakar as well. I still do not get it. What are these leakages and how these leakages will contribute to our economy? They probably need to go through that, especially Abubakar from the Sierra Leone People's Party, and give us a clue of those leakages.
Thank you very much. Yes, let's hear from you.
Yes, first of all, I've bounced to the two manifestos, and I'm really much impressed in how the manifesto have been written. But I look confused in these two things, the educational aspect, but since we're discussing on different agenda presently, the economy. So what am I saying here is that for the past 10 years we have been seeing so many institutions in Sierra Leone. I'm really impressed in that. Now I'm seeing the SLPP that are making a statement very clear that they are going to have free education in Sierra Leone, which I'm very more confused in that. We're seeing so many institutions in Sierra Leone presently, so many technical institutions. Now you see now the SLPP are saying we have free education. I'm not seeing reality that stops.
We'll come to the education in subsequent editions. This one, it's economy and economy related issues. Yes.
Yeah. I just want to put a question to the two political parties. I just want to talk on the area of disabled person and the economy, right? Due to like the worst, I will not say the worst, like the bad economy we have now. You find many disabled in the street begging, roaming about without doing nothing. So I just want to know how your economy plans will
feature the
disabled people that will empower them to short. You understand? Because we have seen where the commission has been established by the APC, or we see how it has been muzzled by the government again within the APC, where funds are not provided on time and things are difficult within the commission. So I want to know how the SLP and the APC will work towards.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Anything before we move on quickly?
Yeah, as my
in less than a minute,
was saying, that by sending people to abroad to go learn what they've learned to come implement it in the country for the economy, why not create a platform where we can learn the same thing in Sierra Leone? Because I was told by my grandmom that people were coming from overseas to attend university in Sierra Leone. Why not still create that platform that people will rush to Sierra Leone to be educated?
And that falls under the education aspect, which would postpone for a time when we're discussing exclusively the education aspect. Thanks, my dear. Yes.
Yes, sir. I was waiting to listen to them the more before I pose my question. But again, you narrowing down the our discourse to the economy. I've read, I briefly browsed through the two manifestos, not properly actually. I want to ask the economic policy of SAP and APC. Yeah, SAP has been insisting since 2012 to date that a lot of slippages within the system, which some of us know very well, but it's difficult to identify. Can they do justice to us? Identify these areas as slippages, probably say Port Authority, immigration, wherever. Name them, identify how much, and then how much will be sent into the economy to help us with free education at junior
and how
senior
you
school.
Combat those linkages.
And how do you cut off those linkages? That money is added into the economy, which adds for GDP further. Now, secondly, we're talking about the economy, economic diversification. For me, I think I'm looking at it from the local content point of view. Yeah, local content and not global content. Ghana succeeded. Gambia has succeeded. Nigeria, of course, they're far ahead. Tanzania was there. You can't consume any butter that is imported from Britain or America. Everything you eat or consume is manufactured, marketed, and distributed within Tanzania. And so, they're not actually talking directly to the issues. What exactly are you planning in your local content industry? How do you plan to empower Sierra Leoneans? Let me make an example. Look at NAVO. It's a Sierra Leonean, but has created huge implement for Sierra Leoneans. Look at Gento. How do we intend to make people Sierra Leoneans? Nigeria have Dangote. They have Tony Elumelu. All these guys, they are within Nigeria, and they were able to cater for Nigeria. They were able to cater for Nigerians. How do you intend to do that? Two of you.
Thank you very much. And so we're giving much of the time to the both of you, but we have to make it brief. We have about 15 minutes to wrap up.
I'll start with the last one. Thank you very much. If you have gone through the document, you will see that in that regard, Sierra Leonean goods have been identified as one that not only be prioritized and be made known to Sierra Leoneans, but also be assisted. So in other words, that the new government would be able to assist or strategizing how you assist such products to compete with the international market. So that's one way. So you just don't empower them to produce more and make sure Sierra Leoneans consume Sierra Leonean made or Sierra Leone made goods, but also how they can compete internationally. Now, my brother mentioned about disabilities. Now, if you look at this disability are issues that have been identified as key priorities under this manifesto. And in fact, disabled persons are the primary target, one of the primary targets of this manifesto. So in other words, that the new government will look at those people, because we know that disabled persons fall under the same category of people that I said earlier, that are below the social ladder. And there should not be a social ladder anymore. So we are targeting the opportunity, we are targeting those people and making sure that that gap is eliminated or reduced. All right? So those categories of persons, we provide training for them, provide equal opportunities for loans, for other opportunities. I mean, making sure that they have companies and competing with other people where they are able to secure loans, we guide them through. I mean, you see, even if, as somebody was saying earlier, even if they do not have property for collateral, for example, to access finance, what can we do? The same opportunities will be made to them, and those people are prioritized. And you know, when you say prioritize, the disabled persons are part of that category. Somebody else mentioned that people come from abroad and they take money and then go away, or they get more money, or they get more employment. I mean, I am not here to judge who came or why he is employed, but I know that people are employed on the basis of qualification. That is what I'm trained to do. That is what I understand, and I'm sure everybody here will agree with me that you are not employed. If you are a fisherman, you are not employed to argue in court. That is not correct. That is not correct anywhere, and no civilized country would adopt that kind of policy. No civilized country. I hope that we as Sierra Leoneans, we do not only say statement or utter statement that somebody else has uttered. but we make sure that what we say is actually the truth.
No, so, you spoke about their wealth, ill-gotten wealth.
Now, in terms of ill-gotten wealth, this is very important.
Unexplained wealth.
Unexplained wealth. It's a problem everywhere in the world. It's not peculiar to Sierra Leone. It is not just Sierra Leone. And that is where we as Sierra Leoneans, we all have a duty to make sure that people that we know have acquired wealth, all right, that unexplained wealth, for example, you can still go. There is a commission responsible for that. There is an institution responsible for that. There is no crime to report your father that your father is stealing money from public funds. There's no crime in that. In fact, you will be supported in providing the evidence. So that is what we should take as Sierra Leoneans as well. Those institutions are not created for fun. We should make sure that we support government in doing what. Somebody else mentioned waivers. Now, where we are coming from in terms of waivers, since 2007 to now, we would know, if we've been following up, there is a lot of transformation that has taken place. A lot of reviews have taken place. I came here sometime in 2012 as an expert. Now, one of the reasons why I came back is to look at mining agreements. And I, for once, I mean, speaking of the outside the APC, you look at what has been done and what is being lost as a nation. You make recommendations, and this is a government that has always listened to what people are saying, and that is what I'm encouraging Sierra Leoneans to do. Speak out. Don't sit back and criticize. Speak out. Just don't criticize. Speak out. That is your own contribution as a Sierra Leonean. So those waivers, some of those agreements most of them have been reviewed, and you see that there's a lot of waivers that have been reduced. Let us continue to talk about them, and let us continue to encourage other people to benefit from what is provided.
Thank you very much. And yes,
yeah, I was talking my word there.
Sorry, excuse me.
The scenario I was trying to give was a case where you do not have the expertise, and you are required to bring in that expertise. And when that expertise is here, it should be transferred to the Sierra Leone within the period stipulated by the contract agreement. That's what I'm saying. That does not mean you will not be given the opportunity to go out there and acquire the skills. Yeah. And now, Sano, I don't think you read our manifesto. First of all, the health sector. Well, it is here stated in our manifesto. We were sure we bring in dialysis and diagnostic machines to have them at least in each of the regions. Yeah, because the problems most Sierra Leoneans are having is wrong diagnosis. That's why they are going out of the country. And once we are able to address that, then we'll be able to tackle some of these health problems we have that are causing people to go out of the country and spend a lot of money. So it is there in our manifesto.
So are you saying we will no more go out of the country to do tests and what?
That's what I've just told you.
No, I just want it now.
Dialysis and diagnostic
are you saying?
You understand?
Okay, let me come.
I'm just responding to the issues he raised. You spoke about corruption. You understand? One way we intend to tackle that. Also in the health sector, we build in 3 miles radius, we build health centers all over the place and get them equipped, and also we train the personnel to man them. That is there in our manifesto. And also you brought the issue of corruption. Yeah, we'll start, and you said there is nothing mentioned about the audit report as well. So that is not true. If we had time, I would have read it out here for you. It is there stated. First of all, in the first 100 days, we review the ACC Act to ensure that asset declaration forms of all public officials are published before they take office and before they leave office, so that you know whether it is ill-gotten or whatever you describe it, that has been acquired by that person within a certain period of time. You're able to know whether it has been acquired through co-op means or whatever. It is there stated. And also, one way we intend to fight is to implement the recommendations of the audit service, the annual recommendations of the audit service here. It is there in our manifesto. Now, he also spoke about education. One thing we've always emphasized that we'll be able, because that is going to be our flagship project. And it's as simple as this. I hope you are listening.
Yeah, I'm listening.
We intend to spend
50
based on the 2016 census figures. We have about 2,009,000 pupils in the country attending school. And we intend to spend $51 on a child. Yeah? That translates to 380,000 euros. That should cover tuition, about 120 books in the core subjects, and then uniform, at least 1 or 2. You understand?
Joe, you
And
continue
we
with
will need
what's in
112
education.
billion.
Let's focus more on the economy. Someone was talking about the wastages, the leakages, identifying where they are and how do you
that
address
was where
them.
I was coming. I needed to address it because it's a flagship program and it is an
We'll
issue.
come
No, yeah, we'll
Next
come
week.
to an edition where we'll discuss that.
Okay,
exclusively.
I hope I'll be invited.
We would be joining, of
Because this
course, we
one,
can't go without inviting SLPP.
if I knew you
We
were
would
going
be-
to
Joe, we would
focus
be
on the economy,
combining-
I would have asked
Joe,
an
we would be
economist
combining health and
to
education.
come. However, okay,
So
now let me
let's round up with economy.
come to my brother there. He talked about leakages.
And my
We all know. You understand, my brother Abadi. We all know there are leakages. And through those leakages, government loses tens of billions every year. That is a fact. Such as tax waivers, duty-free concessions, you have under invoicing, under declaration. All of these things are happening. That is why customs officials and others are filthily rich. They are acquiring ill-gotten wealth at the expense of the state. Once you are able to seal that up, that's why we are saying, like for instance, if we are, the reports are there. NRA report comes out annually and gives a picture of what government loses through those leakages every year. IMF reports are there, World Bank reports are there. It's a whole lot of money. You understand? And if we are able to put the effective systems in place to checkmate some of those leakages or to seal them off, even if we are able to achieve 50% success in that direction, we were able to save a whole lot of money.
Billion.
Let's say if you are losing 200 billion a year, and you are able to more effective systems, you are able to save 100 billion. And let me tell you, I was just explaining it. We need just 115 billion to give free education to the kids. 2,009,000. You understand? And if we're able to save 50-60 billion from just one area that those vital funds were going astray.
Which area? That's my concern.
I've explained to you under inflation, under declarations, tax exemptions, duty waivers, and all the rest of it. Those are wastages.
Joe, can I help you with the last? Joe,
You know,
can I help you with it? Just with duty waiver and concession in 2016, we lost 894 billion.
It's inside there.
Yeah, it's there. And when you look at the financial statement of 2016 from the Accountant General, now you realize the government overexpended beyond their projected budget expenditure.
Expended in what?
Now I'm coming. Allow me. I wrote a piece on that even before I traveled out of the country last year. And I urged Parliament to take action because it was in breach of the parliamentary procedure. They didn't ask for parliamentary clearance and they overspent. The government had projected to raise revenue of 3.1 trillion. And they will be expending 4.1 trillion, which had programs. And I sit on budget approvals and discussions. Now, within that context, budgets are activity-based. So if you don't have activities that have deliverables, that budget cannot be expended. And so they went through those processes and the government tabled in Parliament through the Minister of Finance that they were to expend 4.1 trillion, which meant at that time we had a pitfall between revenue generation and expenditure of 1 trillion. And yet, fortunately for us, when government introduced 3 new strands of tax where we were to pay GST on electricity, water, and the like, and the reduction of fuel subsidy, we were able to generate more money, and the NRA raised 6,540 billion over and above what we had envisaged. It was almost 100% increment. Now, government, upon seeing that money, spent everything, and we went into deficit of 201 billion. I wrote a piece on that, and I asked Parliament, of which also the SLPP was part of that Parliament. They did nothing about it. The people's money went down the drains. Nothing came out of it. These are the leakages we're talking of. If you can address these leakages alone, 2.1 trillion, that can be converted towards education and health in this country.
Yes, second, okay, now, let me just ask you again. You're talking about the leakages. Secondly, how do you plan to introduce what is called economic, well, it's not austerity, how do you plan to reduce public how do I call expenditure? Not public expenditure. Plan to reduce over bloating the economy, because
The budget.
not the budget,
Expenditure, over bloated
expenditure. Like what happens in 2015, 2013, 15, you know, there was serious overbloating within the economy. The government overspent more than it was realizing. And so what happens? You know that at the end of the day, we went into problems economically. Now, the economic employment, there was twin shocks, a lot of things happened. Now, how do you, as a party, now we brought back for you to assist us by March 10 or 11, how you as a party, after March 7, how do you plan to reduce? Because I see the president Motuke, in fact, is so much,
Exactly.
the fear
The
given to
cabinets.
ministers, deputy ministers, is so much. The money spent by public officials for top, fuel, all these things put together is our economy.
International
How do you
economy.
plan to reduce that and save more money for education, for health, for energy, for infrastructure, etc.? I've looked at you. Secondly, please, the issue of unexplained wealth. Anti-corruption commission, you said, no, let me just
Baba, the nation was told in the austerity measure how we are going to cut down those costs. Did they? In fact, when I wrote a piece and called for the government to bring out the analysis and evaluation of the performance of the austerity measure, nothing came out of it. I mean, they are taking the people of this country for granted, for goodness sake. And this is a time that we should be telling our politicians now, we have the power and we give you the power. If you are not up to it, we get you out of it and we don't give it to you if you don't deserve it.
That's fine. Please, you say you're going to review the AC Act of 2008, a very good act, one of the best anti-corruption policy in Africa, the strongest on paper. But when it comes to implementation, it's a challenge. How do you intend? What clause do you want to change within that particular law? Is it issue of nullity? You want to change? 1, 2. The issue of public officials filling their, how you call it,
declaration
form. Yes. How do you want to do it? Recently, before JFK left, we were working with him. He was planning to make sure the forms are digitized, and so after 3 years, they refer back to those officers to come and look at what they've achieved, how much, etc. A lot of reforms within that. What do you plan to do?
Thank you very much, Babadi. And Joe and Ibrahim, this would be the last question you'd be answering to for this edition. So in answering, you can include your closing courtesies.
You don't say anything with regards to disability.
So again, thank you very much. I think in terms of what you have provided for the explanation you have provided in terms of leakages, I think that I do not know the period that is covered entirely, but I'm sure that if government overexpend money, it is out of the period that I know between 2013 and 2016. Those are troublesome. Yes. 2016, very troublesome periods where government had to spend over.
Abraham, I'm sorry that I'm interrupting you. Let's focus on what you're doing now. The manifesto, not defending the government. The
manifesto has emphasized that the laws will be strengthened, and this is what I continue to say. The laws will be strengthened to make sure that those concerns that you have are taken care of. All right? We think that government is, development is a process, and we think that everybody should take part in that process, and that is why the manifesto is targeting everybody to take part, especially the grassroots, because they form, and this is very important, they form the bulk of our population. And they are being left out. We don't want that. We want everybody to take part. We make sure that everybody, there has never been any time in the history of this country that we have better opportunities for education. There has never been any time in this country that
we have declaration of asset aspect and the unexplained wealth.
All of that is part of what I said when I spoke about enforcement. And the emphasis is that there is a robust, there is so much plan, a big plan to combat lawlessness and combating corruption in this country. So much of it. So
thank you very much, Ibrahim.
Every Sierra Leonean should take part in that.
Joe, quickly,
Sierra Leonean should support.
Response quickly.
What is coming up?
This man just drew my attention to the disabled issue, so I'll just respond to that very quickly. First of all, we expand the free healthcare to cover, of course, school-going children and the disabled. So that's one benefit.
He was talking about the economy.
And also,
he was talking about the disparities in people, persons with disability. How do they also benefit getting a higher standard of living? The economy.
But that's where I'm coming. We start there first. Give them free healthcare, and secondly, they are going to have free education from pre-primary up to tertiary level. I think it is there in our manifesto.
They have it all.
It's only on tertiary. They don't have it in secondary.
Fine. So we are taking it from pre-primary up to tertiary. You understand? It is here in our manifesto. So I hope there are some other issues, but those are the key ones. Because of time, I will just touch on.
But how do they eat? How do they get money? Economy.
And the others who do not want to go through the formal education system, there will be skills training for them, free in tech-voc institutions and other polytechnics and so on and so forth.
How do we pay for them?
You understand? We'll pay. I've just told you.
That's not your job to pay as APC. It's their job to pay as
one other way, this issue just came up. One other way will be saving a lot. First of all, at the moment we have a bloated cabinet. By cutting down on that one by just half, sorry, you save a lot of money. You understand? We have a good number of unnecessary public institutions, parallel institutions that are not supposed to exist.
My final.
We will take them out and save a whole lot of money. You understand? So those are the ways we are going to do. But
Joe, please give me 1 minute to say.
No, allow him. Yes, continue. This is about the parties.
Those are some of the ways we will be saving money to challenge to the education sector. Well, on unexplained wealth, I just declaration of assets. I told him in the first 100 days, we will review the laws, the ACC Act, to ensure that the declaration forms are published. Because as things stand now, it's only the ACC that has an idea of.
Are published to the public.
To the public.
My own.
As long as you're a public official,
yes.
And that is going to be published before you take office and before you leave office, so that people will know.
No.
If over a period of time you've acquired unexplained wealth, and then you have to explain to the relevant authorities.
Thank you very much, Kev.
So if before one takes up office, you have to declare, and you said it will take 100 days. So it means for 100 days we'll be waiting for our ministers to be appointed and for them to take up office. If the SLPP is elected into office, let's have that as a full control. Anyway, the Bible says, much will be entrusted unto your care. If you have good stewardship over little things that were handed onto your care. Like for Mr. Kuruma, I'm bringing this. For 10 years, you guys have been there. You were not able to enforce all of those laws that you are trying to enforce now in the manifesto. What went wrong?
They've always been there.
No, but you said you try to enforce.
Kev, you're making your quick submission.
Anyway, to my people, this is a time for us as Sierra Leoneans to really look at the manifestos, and I am pretty sure, and I will crave on your indulgence here as a SLBC. Once all the manifestos are out, let us discuss and drill deep into those manifestos, because these are not the only two political parties that we have anymore in the race.
So far, it's the manifestos that are coming up. Most of the other parties have not been able to.
No, I'm saying when they come out, let us also, because this is a case for the people to decide.
We were really expecting that by now we would have had most of them, so we would have had a bulk
you
of
know,
them.
many parties had difficulties in having themselves to be endorsed by the PPRC, so you can't blame them also for not coming out now. So however, once that is done and we discuss, the people will now have the opportunity to choose between the political parties. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, gentlemen and lady, for being a part of the program. Thanks to you there, our viewers, for your time and your text messages. I am a Sierra Leonean, and in Creole they say, look before you jump, not jump before you look. Simply said, look before you jump, meaning look, analyze before you take your next step. Don't do it after you've taken your step. And as voters, analyze your candidates wisely and know how to vote. I am Fidian Smil, I have been your presenter. My producer has been Princess Gibson. Till next week, thanks and have a good week.